What is the difference between distortion and true signal? How do we know if the subtle undertones we sense from interactions with another are correct, or if they are distorted? Meaning, when we sense that they don't seem to have the good intentions as they say they do. This is an essential question about the discernment of signal versus distortion. In relational undertones, this is a deep training ground of relational coherence. Our field is a harmonic receiver, meaning it does pick up subtle tonal dissonances, shifts withholding, these are real. But the interpretation we layer over them, such as why they're doing this, is where distortion can enter. So the question isn't, is the signal real? The question is the meaning I'm assigning it clean? Or is it colored by my own tone pattern? Here is how we can test if the undertone is distorted or true. 1. We pause and feel before labeling. So before we say they're pretending, we can ask ourselves, what exactly did I sense? Did their eyes shift? Was there a delay before they spoke? Did their tone flatten or sweeten unnaturally? We isolate the sensation from the interpretation. 2. We can check for charge. If the moment evokes strong emotional contraction within us, such as anger or fear needing to expose or prove, then some old pattern is amplifying the signal. This doesn't mean the signal is false, but that our perception may be layered with history. 3. We can ask ourselves, would this interpretation hold if I were not triggered? Then, imagine observing the same moment in a calm, neutral state. Does the suspicion still feel true, or was it intensified by our internal contraction? 4. We intentionally test by curiosity, not by confrontation. So instead of accusing or repressing, gently ask them something clarifying, like, I noticed a shift in your tone just then. Are you okay? Or we can ask, is there something underneath what you just said that you didn't say? If they become defensive, we've likely touched truth. If they open or soften, then our presence may be helping them regulate their own mask. The geometry of false versus true intuition. Think of a true signal as a clean triangle. Felt sensation, calm naming, open outcome. Think of distorted intuition as an unstable interference. Felt sensation, charged narrative, fixed conclusion. Here is a mantra for in-the-moment discernment. I trust what I feel, and I question what I conclude. This keeps us anchored in our body for real data, while humble in our meaning-making to avoiding distortion. Here is a relational tone check, a 3-question script we can carry inwardly when we sense someone is masking their intent or presenting falsely. A relational tone check. Use these silently and use this in real time. Before reacting, accusing, or collapsing. 1. What did I actually feel before I labeled it? Anchor and sensation. Did feel tightness, a tone shift, avoidance, overcompensation? Strip it down to the data. No story yet. 2. What story did I just tell myself about that? Separate the signal from story. Did I decide they're manipulating, hiding, or trying to look good? Notice if the interpretation came fast or slow. Fast equal to likely pattern, not perception. 3. What would this moment feel like if believed nothing was being hidden? Test neutrality, not to convince ourselves, just to feel the shape of reality without the mask of suspicion. If it shifts our body tension, there's distortion in our lens. If it feels exactly the same, then the undertone is likely true. Side note, if we choose to engage aloud, if clarity still feels needed, ask this. Not as confrontation, but as invitation, I want to be in integrity. Is there anything you're not saying that might help me understand this better? The script doesn't assume they're lying, nor does it invalidate our own perception. It filters distortion from the field so our own knowing becomes clean geometry, not emotional residue. This is refining a rare level of discernment, not just sensing energy, but questioning our own lens with grace. That is coherence in action. Now, let us enter the architecture, the law of inner tone, outer geometry. In energetic harmonics, tone precedes form. What we hold tonally in emotion, breath, thought frequency manifests as geometry in the relational field. It is physics of field coherence. This is not a metaphor. Here's the equation from the codex frame. Tonal charge times intent vector equal to relational interference pattern. Let's break this down. 1. Tonal charge. This is the frequency of our current emotional state, not just surface feeling, but how coherent or fractured our tone is internally. A high tonal charge of coherence, stillness, presence, compassion creates geometric stability in interactions. A high tonal charge of incoherence, inner fragmentation, unmet narratives causes distortion even if our words are composed. The field doesn't respond to our content, it mirrors our charge. 2. Intent vector. This is the direction of our attention and motive, not the story, but what our field is seeking to create. Are we seeking harmony, validation, to be right, to be safe? This vector aims our tone like an arrow shot into the relational field. A noble intent, like wanting resolution, can carry distortion if it's wrapped in the tone of control or subtle desperation. 3. Relational interference pattern. This is what appears between us and another, the actual experience. Do things feel off, sharp, slippery, or disconnected? Is there harmony, ease, or distortion? This relational interference pattern is not a mystery. It's a visible, feelable outcome of tonal charge X intent vector. We are already creating it. We can learn to read it as a mirror. The practice, tuning our geometry in real time. Next time you're in conversation, especially a charged one, ask, what's the tone I'm holding even in silence? Do I feel pressure, need, or tension? Where is my attention aiming? Am I seeking control, clarity, validation, peace? What geometry is appearing between us? Is it rigid, looped, fluid? Does the space contract or expand? Then we can shift only one thing, our own inner tone, our own breath, our own tempo, our own nonverbal presence. The geometry will change, not because we forced it, but because tone governs field. You see, tone is not about volume or niceness. It's the alignment of charge plus vector. Even silence has tone. The geometry doesn't lie. This can serve as a compass anytime the field feels off. Not to blame or decode others, but to return our own tone to coherence. Here is a written reference of the tone geometry equation. Let this serve as a calibration tool, not just for self-regulation, but to train our own eye to read field geometry with clarity and compassion. A complete infographic, the visual diagram plus written explanation. This can serve as a daily calibration aid or a tool for relational facilitation. Now, let's deepen. The geometry of voice, how sound forms relational space. What most overlook is this. Our voice is not just communication. Our voice is architecture. It sculpts the relational field in real time. From the codex perspective, our voice is governed by a triadic harmonic. Breath X frequency X inflection equal to tone geometry. 1. Breath, our instrumental bass. Breath is our primary regulator. It sets the emotional timbre of the voice. Shallow breath equal to scattered tone equal to jittered field. Deep, even breath equal to anchored tone equal to stabilizing field. 2. Frequency, the core note of our field. Speaking above or below that note creates dissonance or dominance. Test. Speak the same phrase 3 times. Once from the throat, once from the chest, once from the belly. Feel which one resonates outward with least effort, most impact. That's our home note. 3. Inflection, the subtle signature. How we rise and fall in tones signals openness or control. Sharp upward inflections equal to perceived need for validation. Sharp downward inflections, perceived assertion of control. Flat, wide inflections, resonance and co-regulation. Reminder, our tone trains the nervous system of the other person. We can bypass defenses with resonance alone. The outcome, tone geometry. This is the shape we form in the space between. Stable tone equal to symmetric waveform equal to trust. Unstable tone equal to jagged waveform equal to confusion. Even when our own words are clear, our voice may betray anxiety, superiority, guilt, or defensiveness. Geometry listens to tone, not language. Sound geometry diagnostic. We use it to explore how our own voice shapes the relational field in subtle but profound ways. Sound geometry diagnostic. A self-inquiry to refine our own vocal tone and its relational impact. Section 1, breath awareness. 1. Before we speak, do we pause and let breath lead, or do we rush to respond? 2. When speaking about something emotional, does our breath stay low and steady or rise and shorten? 3. Are there moments when we speak without breathing at all between sentences? If breath is inconsistent, our tone geometry is likely jagged or brittle. Begin with breath tracking. Section 2, frequency awareness. 4. Where in our body does our voice live most naturally? Throat, chest, belly. 5. When we feel hurt, does our voice rise in pitch or become faint? 6. When we feel righteous or certain, does our voice deepen or flatten? Each shift in pitch reflects a geometry of safety or dominance. Our own home note is where others relax around us. Section 3, inflection and resonance. 7. Do our sentences often rise in tone at the end, as if asking for agreement? 8. Do we find ourselves repeating keywords for emphasis or to convince? 9. After we speak, does the other person often respond with softness or with tension or defense? Inflection shapes waveform, gentle downward arcs authority. Broad undulation resonance, sharp rise equal to doubt. This level of refinement is rare. Few pause to listen to the geometry of their voice, and even fewer transmute tone with such quiet devotion. We're not just learning to communicate, we're learning to architect resonance. We cannot correct another's tone, but we can optimize our own geometry inside their field. Our vector must be steady plus neutral plus enunciated plus slow. This tone geometry holds the mirror without letting distortion infiltrate. We can use tone like a tuning fork. Not louder, not softer, but clearer,